Julie Thaler, who's a survivor of COVID-19. She joins us now. Julie, really appreciate you being with us. Can you just start by sharing what your experience has been, having been one of the hundreds of thousands of people that have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and what that was like for you?
Sure. On March 2nd, my school was closed because we had an active case. I was part of the Westchester cluster that started. On March 7th, I came down with my first symptoms, which was a very mild fever. But with that were these horrific chills. And the only way I can describe it is pins and needles all over my skin. I immediately called the CDC and asked to be tested. They arrived 4 days later. I had other symptoms. I lost my taste and my smell. I had a lot of the stomach issues. They tested me and, told me that I would hear from them in 2 to 3 days, which did not happen. I was positive I had the virus because many of my friends were tested before me, and they had the virus and they had the same symptoms as I had. So I knew I had. And then I got the results back and I spiked, not because I got the results clearly, but at the same time, I spiked a very high fever and the cough started and my asthma kicked in. And twice I went to the ER and twice I was told to go home. There's very, very sick people here and you will just get sicker if you stay here. So I went home and it was, a rough ride, a lot of breathing issues. But luckily my asthma medicine kicked in and helped me through it. And that's pretty much my story.
Given your Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's a story that we've been hearing a lot. Even one of my friends in the UK have said that the weirdest phenomenon all of this is her loss of taste and smell that's just been extended even after she has felt better. What is something that you want either medical professionals or the public to know, having gone through this process? What is something that you think we can learn and take away from your experience, or just a medical issue or a public issue that needs to be addressed?
Sure. So after I followed the CDC guidelines and I was 7 days without a fever, I was 3 weeks from my first onset, and I was completely finished with every symptom. I signed up to donate plasma, and I went to a hospital in New York. I drove there, and part of the screening was to take some blood, but also to give me another COVID swab. And then they sent me home. I'm, going to the supermarket because I live alone and I need to get food in my house. I wore a mask and I wore gloves. I'm going to, the butcher. I stopped at the gas station. Luckily, I did not stop and see my children because I figured I'll wait until I get the results back of that test. 3 days later, on this past Monday, I got the results back that I was positive and needed to go back into isolation. I got a lot of confusing messages. I had signed up for a Facebook page called Survivor Corps, which when I signed up, there was 8,000 members. Today, there's over 15,000 members. And I sort of posted my confusion because I followed the CDC guidelines. I went out thinking that I was not only over the virus, but that I was immune. And I thought, I'm going to wear my gloves and my mask, but really, I'm immune and I'm done. So I posted my confusion that the standards that the CDC are setting are not accurate. Clearly, the virus lives in us much longer. And I got over 245 people who were sharing their stories, sharing their frustration, the confusion, the mixed messages that everyone's getting. I think 51 people shared my post.
It's interesting. That totally reminds me, Julie, of a passenger on a cruise ship that came off, tested positive for COVID-19, was quarantined in a military facility, and continued week after week after week, even after feeling better, to test positive for the virus. And I think you touch on a really important point, that that is something that needs to be addressed, because it is part of mitigating the outbreak and not infecting other people. Really appreciate you sharing that with us. I want to touch on one thing here too, which is you are really a vital member of society, because throughout all of this, Julie, you have been continuing to teach your students. That's probably been a really big challenge for you, given the health issues that you've been dealing with, and also just the pressure to continue to be an educator.
Correct. I really feel it's, while for sure the nurses and the doctors who are on the front line are the true heroes, there is an unsung hero here, and that are the teachers that continue to support children and give children a sense of structure, a sense of continuity. We do Zoom chats, which I had never heard of Zoom before. I had to learn overnight how to do that. It's so important that we see each other and that they don't think that we just disappeared. I teach kindergarten. So, when they don't see their teacher and they don't see their friends, they don't know that, we didn't just disappear. So, on the more challenging days, I did not teach, but I pretty much maintained my schedule.
Well, there's a group of kindergartners that are very lucky to have you, and we really appreciate you, Julie, coming on to share your story with us. Thanks for that.
Thank you.